Hey everybody, it is December 24th, Friday, December 24th, 2021. The last AMA of 2021, going to say goodbye to this rather interesting year, I think. It was an interesting year for CoinMetro, it was an interesting year for crypto, probably interesting for many of you guys and gals as well. So here I am, I'm still Kevin Murcko as of December 24th. This is still CoinMetro. This is still an AMA. I'm going to answer some questions. You're going to ask some questions. Some have already come in. I think even from a couple hours ago, somebody had their UTC times messed up or their Estonian local time messed up. I'm going to start off by showing you some new merch. Why not? Christmas. Check it out. All right. If anybody didn't notice, that's me as an alien with a very big green forehead. Let's do a quick mic check. If we can, mic check, mic check, mic check. Somebody asking about delays. Anybody can give me a mic check? I just need a mic check. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Somebody give me a mic check. I'm assuming people can hear me because no one's saying they can't. And you would seemingly be seeing myself, talk to myself. Works fine. Thanks, Harold. All right, going to roll back up to the top of the list here, start with these questions. There was some that were posted some time ago, but let's go for it. What's the Murcko Christmas Day agenda? Who does the cooking? No cooking, because I'm supposed to have some renovations done on a kitchen here. Actually was supposed to have renovations done. They're still not done, but I don't know when they're going to be done. So everything's packed up, was packed up since October. So no cooking. This year, I think we're going to head out to a restaurant tonight. Tomorrow, actually, I'm flying to see my in-laws in northern Mexico with my wife and youngest daughter, and we'll be there for a few days, fly back here to Cancun, or Cancun area, I should say, sometime on the 28th. And then on the 29th, my family comes in, and then we will celebrate New Year's here. We may be cooking. Well, I don't think we're cooking for New Year's either, though. I think other people might be cooking. But yeah, so Christmas tonight in the Mexican traditional way, we'll open some presents after midnight, wake up early tomorrow, head to the airport, fly, and bring some presents to the family. That's the agenda. Happy Christmas. XCM's the best. Thank you, Leo. Appreciate that. Henrik, what are the mostly possible crypto scenarios for the next year and how to prepare for each of them? Mostly possible. I guess that would be probable. That's a really broad question, Henrik, but I know there's kind of 50-50 camp in crypto right now where this 4-year cycle is going to come to an end or whatever, and we're going to start to see, or 2-year cycle, whatever the cycle is, and we're going to see a bear market next year. There's a lot of catalysts for the reason why we're seeing prices where we see them now. If you remember back early in the year when COVID first hit and we weren't seeing crypto move to the north, we weren't seeing higher prices, I said, well, so far it seems that this idea that crypto is kind of depegged from the rest of the financial world and that it's a hedge against, catastrophe, black swan events is nonsense because, well, it's not yet. But obviously what we've seen over the last year is it surely is now. So as money's being printed in the US, in Europe, well, mostly in the US, but also in Europe and other parts of the world, as inflation starts to creep in, as we start to see the economic effects of this pandemic, which we really haven't seen yet. We've seen some effects. We've seen transitory inflation in the US, which for those of you who don't know what transitory inflation is, it's a joke. That's what it is. And so we are now starting to see some of the bad effects of this pandemic on the economy. We're going to see more. We are also starting to see many companies, wealthy individuals, et cetera, that are now realizing that if they need to put something in the portfolio as a hedge, that yes, is volatile, but also has a history now, if we're talking about Bitcoin specifically, of what, more than 12, almost 13 years now, or almost, I think more 13 years now, of performing better than any other asset in the world. And that's starting to happen. What that's doing is removing a bit of the weight on retail money in the market, which means, well, less volatility. Still volatile because it's still illiquid to a certain extent, but it's less volatile because it's not all retail flow. I think the most probable thing is that we may see, we will probably see something similar to what we saw this year. Of course, you see profit taking around the holidays. You also, for tax reasons, et cetera, you see people taking a little bit of gain pieces off the map. However, I don't think we're yet going to see some type of major correction. We have seen corrections. Well, we've seen major corrections in terms of traditional markets. I don't expect to see a major crypto correction, at least in the short term. It really depends on how the world deals with this coming economic crisis. And they're probably not going to deal very well with it because usually they don't. And if that's the case, and if the only way that they're going to try and navigate the crisis is by printing more money, then I see a bullish future for crypto in 2022. Sorry, I have to lean in every time. I got to improvise setup here. So I get to lean in every time I want to answer a question. So my apologies on that one. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you as well. Amazing. I was interested to hear your thoughts on VXV and understand if there are any plans for further relationship. Yeah, look, when we listed VXV, I think I had 2 calls with Cajun, their CEO. The guy's definitely passionate. He's definitely a smart individual. He's got a lot of plans. I constantly hear about partnerships and things like that. To be honest, I'm not too connected to their team on a daily, weekly, monthly basis as I am with other teams. So I can't give you the best insight. What I can say is that their thematic baskets, which I've talked about a few times, that is very similar, if not identical, to our idea for the electronically traded crypto fund, the ETCF, which we initially had in our white paper, though we haven't launched yet because we need additional licensing. That additional licensing, more than likely, we will have in 2023. Potentially the end of 2022, but probably 2023. With that licensing, we'll be able to open up more talks with VXV about thematic baskets so they can help make some of those ETCF options automatic, more dynamic, and hopefully more profitable. Jet fuel, when TRAM V2. TRAM V2 was put a bit on the back burner for a lot of other V2s that you've seen, beta exchange, beta margin coming. But TRAM V2 is coming. I think Q1, you'll probably see a TRAM V2. TRAM V2 isn't, however, just about a reskin. It's really about adding new features, making TRAM more easily understandable to investors and more easily managed by managers, and also adding some additional risk mitigation elements, like being able to trade a TRAM on spot rather than margin. Mr. Shady, 8X, X8. Does he drive an X8 or is he shady times 8? I'm not sure. What would you have done if I had sold 171,000 XCM that was mistakenly given to me through fee rebates and withdrew all the money from my account? It's a weird question, Shady. Well, given the name, I guess maybe not so much. What would we have done? Well, I guess I'll acknowledge that that was a mistake caused by our system due to a pricing error by CMC. We use CoinMarketCap to place pricing on assets that don't necessarily have a lot of volume on our exchange, so that we can make sure that the indicative price is similar to the mid price that we show to our users. There was one day, I think it was December 10th, 11th, 12th, something like that, or you guys might remember the date, when CMC sent prices for some assets like DNA, I think maybe even VXV, a few others, like 400, 500,000 euros a token. And that caused, when people were making trades on those assets, that caused our rebate system, which also uses those same prices, to pay out significantly higher rebates. So it was an error in our system caused by an error in pricing from CoinMarketCap. In that sense, I would love to say we would just say, you're welcome. We probably would have asked you to return the XCM. If you didn't, however, not sure I really should say this. Legal's probably going to jump over my back for this one, but there's not much I think we could do. We could attempt to pursue the action, but at the end of the day, it might not even be worth it for us to do so. So I would love to think that as an amazing client here at CoinMetro, when we said, you know what, that was our mistake. Here's, a small reward for spotting the bug. Could you please return that 171,000 XCM? I would hope you would do that. Orost. Oh, roast. Okay. Why was this delayed twice, and where can I get updates for it if it happens? I had to ask on TG. Why was what delayed twice? Are we talking about the AMA specifically? We didn't have one last week because it was our Christmas party, so I was a bit busy. Well, I'm always busy, but I was a different kind of busy that day. I don't think we had an AMA the week before that, and it wasn't delayed at all. So I'm not sure if you're talking about the AMA. It's always normally always at 3 p.m. Eastern Estonian time, which is, as of 10 minutes ago. So we are on time. Let me know exactly what you mean, and I can answer the question better, I guess. Merry Christmas, Kevin. How do you and your family celebrate Xmas in Mexico? Already covered that one initially in this AMA, but I guess traditionally in Mexico, what you do, instead of opening presents on the morning of the 25th, you open up presents on the evening of the 24th. That's the tradition. There's a lot of traditional foods. Depends on what region of the country you may be in, or your family's from, or your friends are from, or whatever. Depending on what you may eat. Turkey is still a thing here, like it is in other parts of North America. However, you have tamales, which are big. Then there's things called romeritos and bacala, and there's a lot of stuff I never liked and can't eat, but some of the stuff is quite amazing. Tamales are one of my favorites, though they take a long time to make. And so there's traditional foods just like there is in all parts of the world. Generally, there's a dinner on the 24th, presents open on the 24th in the evening. 25th is kind of a day just to relax, hang out with family, and hopefully not go to work, I would imagine. Let's see, Bilal, what are your thoughts on Hathor? It's listed on CoinMetro. Could you elaborate why you are bullish on it? Well, just because it's listed doesn't mean we're necessarily bullish on it, or we probably, bullish is a funny term. I'll tell you why. I think in crypto, bullish means this bad boy is going to do 100x or 1000x or something like that. Bullish just being positive. Obviously, when we list things, we are positive about them. We wouldn't list things that we're positive about. Hathor, why we list it? Well, Hathor, most of the companies that we list, Hathor included, have a very similar MO to ourselves, meaning they're trying to create additional access into financial markets. They're trying to better people's financial lives, and they're doing so in an ethical, transparent, and honest nature. At least that's what we see when we list things. And Hathor fell into that category. Hathor idea is to make tokenization simple, and so that it is very easy to tokenize a company, or tokenize a piece of property, or tokenize a business idea, etc. I think that's amazing because, as I've said many times on the show, and if you haven't heard me say it, I'm going to say it now. So what I've said many times in the show is that all companies, when I say all, obviously I'm not saying 100%, but damn near all companies will tokenize themselves over the coming years. Why? Tokenization is a really cool thing. It's basically what governments around the world that issue their own currencies have been able to do since central banks existed, since modern economics existed, meaning that they can create wealth, create money, essentially out of thin air, and use that to hopefully better people's lives. The whole idea about currency, obviously, was to have some way for people to be able to barter better, that's for sure. But also the idea about that, and then taxes and everything else, the idea, I'm not saying that that's really what happens, is that you have a collective, a lot of people in a country, in a city, in a state. You have a currency. That currency is created. It's given a value. It's used to barter between individuals, etc. For services, like you work for somebody, they barter with you and they give you a salary, and that's paid in that currency. But it's also used because that currency comes back into the coffers. That currency sits in the coffers, and those coffers are then used to better people's lives, hopefully streets and paved roads and etc., etc., etc. All the things that government's supposed to be doing. So historically, companies, individuals haven't had this ability. And tokenization gives us that ability. It gives you the ability to take an idea, create a token around it. That idea, if it flourishes, everybody that owns or holds those tokens flourishes with it. But as the company or idea, you don't need to give up rights, control, voting, and all these things, which is amazing. The ICOs are still probably one of the biggest innovations that have come out of crypto up to this point. They weren't run maybe as they should be run. There were lots of failures, but at the same time, the idea is genius, 100% genius. And it is, I think, if not the #1 innovation that came after the whole crypto era, Bitcoin. It is one of them. Obviously, it involves other great innovations like smart contracts, decentralization, etc. Hathor. So Hathor makes tokenization easy. As I believe, most companies will tokenize themselves, and that doesn't include just Fortune 100s and Fortune 500s. That includes small companies, that includes ideas, that includes real estate, etc. Hathor gives people a way to do that easily. So there you go. Hopefully that answers your question. Lots of people saying my mic is working, so that's cool. Buy DNA or buy EncryptGen bond, an XCM or CM bond. Well, I guess that depends on your end goal. So if you're in this for speculative reasons, meaning you simply want to make money, then you should compare, well, for XCM bonds, a bit different. CoinMetro's bonds at the end of 2022 will mature. So you'll receive some fixed amount of interest over the course of 2022, but then at the end of 2022, you'll be allowed to either cash into XCM or into CoinMetro equity at a value of 50 million, at a valuation of 50 million euros. I expect our valuation to be roughly between probably 5 to 20x that by the end of 2022. I know that's a wide range, but let's just say much higher. XCM was placed as at 20 cents as an indicative price in terms of how much you can cash out. Now it's based on the value of the bond at the time of issue, which was 10 euros. So that means that those 10 euros are worth 50 XCM at 20 cents. It means you're going to get 50 XCM for every bond. If the bond price increases faster than the XCM price, then it may make sense to convert into equity. So it really depends if you want XCM or you want the bond. It may make sense to buy the XCM now if you think it's going to vastly outpace the bond price is going to outpace the ratio there between XCM and the bond price. On the DNA side, it really depends whether you want to speculate on the token or you want to get equity in the company. Again, it really depends on what your goals are from the investment. If it's long-term, maybe it makes sense to do both. If it's long-term and you really want to own a piece of the entity because you want to see where they go in the future and dividend payments and all those things that should happen when a company flourishes after years in business, then, bonds might make sense. You can convert those into equity. If you're just looking for, kind of the day trade and or to potentially make a short-term gain, potentially buying the token makes more sense. New listing before New Year. Not sure at this point. No, I think we did have plans to remove some pairings that had no volume on them, not remove assets, but just some pairings, some cross pairs, and add, I think, 2 new additional listings. But I think that's going to happen in January now, just because most of our engineering team is on vacation. You mentioned once you didn't intend on selling on the peak of this bull market. Why is that? Do you hate money? On that note, when do you think it'll happen? I don't hate money. I wouldn't be in this business, I wouldn't be in finance if I generally hated money. I didn't intend to sell on the peak of this bull market, and we can debate what this bull market is, when it started, and when we think it's going to end. But I mentioned a couple times on the show about different investment styles. And I've mentioned before Warren Buffett. Now, I'm not saying Warren Buffett is a favorite of mine, or I think, he is classified as like the best investor of all time. I'm not sure that's actually true. However, what Warren Buffett knew before a lot of people knew it, especially before he became wealthy, and wealthy people generally know this, but most of the time people that aren't wealthy don't, is that the best way to get ahead in a market is passive income. You want to find, not just in a market, but in life, to be honest, you need at least 7 streams of passive income to really be able to disconnect yourself from the working world. That's kind of what, I think there's a few books about number 7. There might even be some funny movies on YouTube. I don't know. Point is that you need passive income. That has to be a goal. So I look for assets, both in traditional markets and in crypto, that pay me some form of passive income. In stocks, you would call those dividends. Here, we call them staking, bonding, etc. So holding assets like Qredo, like Flux, like Thought, like XCM, I'm getting passive income on those assets. So there's no reason for me to sell as the market becomes choppy, at a high, etc. There's no reason. Why? Because I'm receiving the same amount of passive income in terms of that asset, an underlying asset. I'm continually receiving that passive income. And I'm invested in that asset because I believe over time it's going to be worth more money. Now, maybe for a 6-month stretch, a 1-year stretch, a 2-year stretch, a 3-year stretch, a 5-day stretch, whatever, it's worth less, but I'm still getting that passive income. Now, I do have assets that I do sell. In fact, some of the more liquid assets in the market, Bitcoin, Ethereum, I do buy in and sell out because like any investor, I need cash flow. So when I need cash flow, there are assets I will sell. However, the majority of assets I hold in my crypto portfolio are long-term assets. They pay me passive income. I have no reason to liquidate those assets because I'm making money holding them. Oh yeah, I think I missed your last quote. Hold on, I mentioned that I don't hate money, so I answered that one. On that note, when do you think it'll happen? The peak of this bull market? Well, that depends, because if you classify a bull market, it depends on how you classify a bull market. Traditional markets, once you see a 20% retrace, it's a bear market. That means we're in a bear market right now. That means we've been in a bear market for the past, month or so. I don't think we're in a bear market in crypto right now. But again, it all depends on how you rate a bull market. I think we've potentially been in a bull market since the first day Bitcoin went trading. If you zoom out, I don't see really any bear market. I see a major correction and lots of accumulation, but I couldn't really classify that as a bear market. If I look at, like I said, traditional metrics, we go into bull and bear markets frequently back and forth all the time. I think maybe for this year, you've seen the highest prices you'll see on lots of assets. I think next year, though, we more than likely will see higher highs on a vast majority of assets. Now, that could come in Q1, it could come in Q2, it could come in Q3. I think for me, for assets I trade, and I trade actively, I monitor price. For assets, like I said, that give passive income, I really don't. So I don't think, for me, picking tops and bottoms is kind of a waste of time. I think we're going to see more tops. And that's all that really matters to me as I hold assets for longer term. Would you sell CoinMetro if you got an offer from a big player? Depends. I didn't get into this business to sell. I don't get into any business really to sell it. If I get into a business, it's because I'm passionate about it, because I want to see it, do well. I may be passive in that business. I may be active in that business, but if I'm there, I believe in it. And I'm not a VC. I don't have that mindset. I don't jump into something thinking, when I get a 50x, when I get a 30x, I'm out. I kind of make these things my life, especially when I'm active in them, and I want to see them do well. Now, if we got an offer that our shareholders liked, and I knew from a high level that they were going to operate the business with the same type of integrity that we've been operating it, doing the right things and not making drastic changes, potentially even where I still remain on the board so that I can hopefully oversee that happens, potentially. Depends on the big player as well. If Binance offered us money, I wouldn't agree to accept it. Now, the board potentially could outvote me if there's enough shareholder votes between the majority shareholders. Potentially, I could be outvoted. However, I don't think I would. I think we all share some of the same ideas about this market, where we want it to head, and this business as well. Why did you delist Digibyte back in the day? We never listed it, so we never delisted it. We planned for that to be our first listing. For whatever reason, it wasn't, but we never delisted it. It's actually still on a short list somewhere to be listed. Hi, Kevin. Merry Christmas. What do you think the token unlocks will do to Qredo's price action? It depends on how well Qredo is managing that narrative. It depends on how overall bullish, excited, and emotional their token base is. If you just look at the numbers, crypto's an irrational market. If you try to be rational about it, like, this circulating supply will inflate to this number, and that means that it's actually not deflationary, it's inflationary, and that's going to put pressure. If you look at it too rationally, you're going to fail. You could look at Dogecoin, look at any of these. These are all inflationary assets. Ethereum for a long time was an inflationary asset, just now starting to become deflationary. People generally, the people that talk about rational figures still buy things irrationally for the most part. So you need to kind of take a bigger perspective. It could potentially, in the beginning, cause some price action. It could be a catalyst. Generally, though, people will, buy the news, sell the facts. In this case, sell the news, buy the facts. I don't know specifically what's going to happen because I'm not tuned in so much into their community to understand how their community works. However, I do think over time, it's not going to make much of a difference. The reason we listed Qredo, the reason I wanted to list Qredo, the reason why we did the AMA, is because I believe in what they're doing. I think they're on the verge of launching a service that essentially every major centralized and potentially decentralized as well, or hybrid exchanges will need, individuals will use, high net worth individuals will love, low net worth individuals will also love being able to operate across a multitude of centralized services without having to give up your assets to that centralized service. That's a game changer, and I think I will remain bullish regardless of how that circulating supply changes. If you look at crypto companies in the terms of like Fortune 100s, Fortune 500s, large enterprises, take a look at those stock prices. Take a look at how inflated they are versus the actual value of the company. And I think you'll be much less worried about Qredo's token unlocks. Kevin, hi. How bullish is MasterCard partnership with Consensus for Qredo? What's your thoughts? Not sure how you're making that connection. Let me think about this one. I guess it's bullish because they kind of are heading down a similar path. I don't think there's a direct correlation. I could be wrong. I can't say I read the entire article that came up when the MasterCard partnership with Consensus. So maybe I'm missing something here, but they are going down similar paths. I think when you have an idea and you're the only person with that idea, you may think you're a genius at first. Then you may come to find out that no one else is doing that idea because it just doesn't work, or it's not going to work, or it's just plain downright stupid. So when some other company, especially somebody like MasterCard, for example, goes down the same path, they validate your idea. That's amazing. So in that sense, I guess it is quite bullish for the industry, for these type of services. MasterCard's made a lot of crypto. They actually had a Bitcoin debit card based out of the Caribbean while they were shutting down debit cards that were indirectly tied to crypto in Europe and North America back in 2018, 19. They've been involved in crypto for some time. I think this whole, talk about crypto, talk about blockchain is good for PR, your stock price will go up. That's kind of over with now. Now I'd really like to see MasterCard really start to dig in. I've heard a lot of stuff, haven't really seen much of it come to fruition. So waiting with breathless anticipation. I didn't pack my Santa hat. I think I actually might have one here, but haven't really had time to dig through stuff. I was going to CGI one on my head, then I realized I have no fucking idea how to CGI. So the good thing is I realized that quickly, because if it took me like a day or two to realize that, there'd be problems. Qredo and Vesper staking. Vesper is something that we're looking into, might be one of the next options on CoinMetro, probably Q1. Qredo staking involves linking up with their layer 2, which we will do once we start to integrate services with them. That's probably a Q2, Q3 venture, though. I do own a bit of Qredo, but limit orders are still hanging in the distance. Hey, Kevin, as 2021 draws to the end, can you summarize CoinMetro's key highlights in the last 12 months? What was, in your view, the biggest achievements, and can 2022 be bigger than 2021? Thanks, Slava. I was waiting for this one. This is usually the end of year question. We did so much in 2021 that it's kind of hard for me on the spot to come up with all our achievements, but let's just go broad level. In January 1st, I believe, 2021, XCM price was right below 3 cents. It hit a low of 2.9 cents, I believe. Might have been 3.2, but I think it was below 3. We're going to close out the year somewhere between a 15x on that, upwards of maybe even a 20x, maybe higher. That in itself is a great achievement because it came on the back not of lots of advertising, not on us paying hordes of money to bring in new clients and leads. it came mostly on the back of organic traffic and referrals, which means we're doing our job well. Our NPS score, the ratings that we give ourselves for how well our clients are treated and their feedback are amazing, constantly above 8, but usually between 9 and 10. We started the year about the same level, but we now have about 100 times more conversations on a monthly basis. And we don't have 100 times more employees. So we've scaled the business and continued to offer the best support in this industry, the best support, I think, in finance collectively. And that, I think, is a major achievement in its own right. We started out this year with volumes sometimes in the 4 figures, average in the 5 figures, 30, 40, 50,000 a day. We scaled that up now to roughly 3 to 4. I think we're roughly just right above 4 million average daily volume. Now, that's small when you compare it to, the big boys in this industry, but it's amazing growth for us. Again, mostly on the back of all organic traffic and referrals. That tells us again that we're doing the right thing. We launched a multitude of products, the whole Earn platform, all the staking and bonding options that we now have. We redesigned our exchange probably more than once. We came out with new branding. We're about to come out with another version of CoinMetro I think everybody's going to love. We've started to build out a team. We went from, a small group of people that were just passionate and, deadlines. The soon Metro was a thing even in the beginning of this year. Now it's much less a thing. Yep, we don't hit every deadline. We are a company made of people. People do miss deadlines on occasion, but we've been knocking the ball out of the park. We've been releasing product after product, service after service. We've been receiving, more and more funds, SEPA Instant, faster payments, refining the way that we do business with some of our outward suppliers, bringing on new services. Like I said, I think there's been so many achievements. It's kind of hard to go down the line, but CoinMetro is a vastly different business today than what it was at the beginning of last year. I expect 2022 to see some of those same metrics. Wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing in the hundreds of millions per daily volume by the end of next year. I think we are going to grow massively. We are going to be a much different company in December 2022 than we are in January 2022. XCM price I expect to grow exponentially as well. I think it's going to be an amazing year. We are going to have many more people inside the organization doing all kinds of really cool stuff, along with our OG team as well. Hi, Kevin. Merry Christmas. With Binance exit from Singapore market and foray into Abu Dhabi market, will they wash away their infamy with this move? No, they won't. They're not going to be able to easily operate in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi's banking controls are quite strict. I don't expect Binance to be able to open bank accounts there either. I think they are, welcome to the point where, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, the UAE, the UAE constantly is talking about how data is the new oil and how they want to get more involved in fintech. And Binance is a big player. So just like Malta tried to get Binance over to Malta and then realized, oh shit, what did we do? Now, Malta, well, they're on the gray list for FATF. Anybody wants to say that has nothing to do with Binance, I think is living in an alternative universe. Abu Dhabi, it probably is going to realize a few things once Binance starts to operate, if they start to operate out of Abu Dhabi. They have money, that's for sure, but the amount of cash that flows through Binance is immense. And that can cause lots of problems. And the banking system, like I said, I don't think there's not really many crypto-friendly banks in the UAE yet, like many other countries. So I don't think any move is going to wash away any infamy. They will still be the same company. They have a lot to do before that infamy is washed away. There's probably so many open cases with Binance across different regulators. And that's why, again, I told you it's a 3 to 5 year process to bring charges. 2022 will be the 5th year. So we may see some sparks in 2022, maybe a reason for the foray into Abu Dhabi so that when charges do start to emerge out of the US, out of the UK, they have a bit of a shield. question is how long that shield will last. The Maltese shield didn't last too long. Well, the Maltese shield's been around a long time, still lasting, but the Maltese Binance shield crumbled pretty fast. Do you have any thoughts on Chainlink, CCIP versus Quant Overledger Network? They seem to be competing interoperability services, but I can't for the life of me make out the details. Love your insight. Thank you. Hey, Lane. So I don't know a lot about CCIP. And my knowledge on Overledger, I'm not an expert either. What I will say about interoperability is that it is inevitable. Things will need to be interoperable to the point where, if we get to a point when there's a standard, and the standard very well could be an interoperable network, or it could be just one of them, or it could be two of them. And if two of the networks, three of the networks that an interoperable platform has connected become the standard, then there's less need for interoperability across those standards. And it may simply be built in to those protocols over time. So interoperability is a problem. It's a problem in lots of tech, lots of finance, to be honest. There's never really been true interoperability between different countries' financial tech. And so the question is why? Is it because there wasn't a smart enough guy to make software that could interoperate between these different techs in the past? No. It's more about geopolitical stuff. You know, politics plays a big role in finance, and well, blockchain isn't going to solve that at all. It's not going to do a thing to solve that. So I think interoperability is important right now because we have a mess, and we are going to go into the protocol wars. I've talked about protocol wars before. We will have protocol wars for different nuanced industries. We will have protocol wars for different types of services. We'll have protocol wars for different types of assets. At the end of the day, I do expect there will be some winners and some losers. The question is, will the winners already be interoperable? Will they have bridging systems? Is there a solution that's better than Overledger or CCIP? I would say that most definitely there will be at some point. Does that mean that better service wins? No. In fact, most of the time in tech, fintech, and finance, it's not the best service that wins. It is the service that wins. Sometimes that's because they simply are better, have a better narrative. Sometimes it's because they're better at forming partnerships with those other those other businesses, or in this case, protocols or whatever. There's been a million examples over history of tech that has won a tech battle that wasn't better. So, Quant their price has done amazing things over the past year. Chainlink, not so much. So if you're looking just at price, obviously the market seems to think Quant is the winner in interoperability. Is the market always right? No. In fact, the market is, I would say, probably seldom right in many ways, because the market is driven by people, and people generally aren't right most of the time, collectively. Well, I shouldn't say collectively, because there's a lot of studies about kind of taking taking a lot of data from a lot of different people, and you actually come up usually with a fairly correct answer. So some type of consensus. But yeah, I can't really give you an opinion on CCIP or Quant battling it out. I say the market believes that Quant is the winner. Traders would say that means Chainlink has a lot of upside potential. I think oracles in general oracles to me are very similar to this interoperability race. Oracles were the talk of the town, and now not so much. Why? Well, how difficult it is to create new protocols that are faster, more streamlined, et cetera, and just add in an element of oracle into that protocol. Same thing I would say for interoperability. So I think part of that protocol war is going to be interoperability versus standardization. And we'll have to see which one wins out. Any plans to list IQ protocol token and any progress made on IQ pools on CoinMetro? Yep. Hey, Ryan, I do plan to list the IQ protocol token and link up with IQ protocol once they are on another chain other than Binance. Not going to work with Binance chain for different reasons. Nobody in particular. Suggestions for a referral program: enable multiple referral links per user, earn 0.1% of staking rewards from referrals, choose to share half of those with the referee. Interesting. There definitely will be some changes to the referral program and some other programs around CoinMetro, hint, hint, which may closely resemble this. But that's a great suggestion. Thanks for it. Make sure you post it in Telegram as well, so that other people will see it in case they don't catch it here. The current KDA staking pool, hey Slava, is 300,000 KDA below the limit of 5.5 million. Could you please give community a great Xmas present and reopen KDA staking and keep it open? One out, one in. Yeah, we could potentially do that. I'm not sure that we have hard coded the limit, so it might have to be manually cut off, which means it would require a bit of engineering, which wouldn't happen before Christmas. So we might be able to do a post-Christmas present and do that. Hopefully, though, sometime early in Q1, we're going to be able to reopen it. So because bonding will reopen for Qredo. Hey, Kev, last time you said passive income was the biggest revenue for CoinMetro. When and will CM offer some benefits from those streams to affiliates? Benefits from those streams will be reallocated. Won't say how, where, and when, and to who, but the affiliate is not a bad idea as well. It's something that we'll definitely look into. Any ideas how? Okay. So we actually discussed that in the previous question. What are your thoughts on Bitpanda's ETN? Not too excited, Harold. There were Bitcoin and Ethereum ETNs out of Sweden, I believe, since 2017, 18 maybe. I don't even think they're traded anymore because nobody gave a shit. So yeah, I mean, Germany does this thing, right, where, you know, Bonster Stuttgart, the two big, the one big retail market, and then the really small retail market in Germany. Well, really small for Germany. They do this thing where they get really excited about something, and then they're super fucking late to the game. But then it doesn't necessarily work out for them. It works out for them, I should say, Germany, but you know, nowhere else. This seems to me like, you know, another kind of who cares moment, to be honest. It's so easy now to buy Bitcoin in comparison to what it was in 2016, 15, 14, 12, 18 for that matter, that, you know, who's buying into an ETN when there's already all these other ways to buy Bitcoin and actually own it and actually be able to transact in it and not have to pay high fees when you transact in it. I don't get the ETNs. I think Bitpanda is doing it because it became easier to do it. And I think, you know, they're the ones that are pricing it. I'm not sure they actually did all the paperwork, but they're pricing it. To be honest, if someone came to us and said, look, you could have the first ETN for whatever in wherever, I don't think I'd get so excited about it. I mean, the PR for CoinMetro would be good, and that's probably most of the reason why they did it for Bitpanda. Outside of that, though, yeah, who cares? We constantly put the cart in front of the horse in crypto for some reason. We constantly do things that we shouldn't do in the wrong order, basically, right? This is fine once there's a more developed underlying market. This isn't going to help the underlying market. It's actually can potentially add just more negative volatility to the underlying market. And we already have, I would say, let's say, accurate pricing. We already have pricing you can trust from the underlying market. So the reason to have an ETN or even an ETF because you have some better pricing mechanism around the market doesn't make sense either. Mr. Start, happy Christmas to everyone in the CM team. Can you hint on when new XCM staking update will launch? I think mid-Jan to end of Jan. That's when it's going to launch. That's the hint. THC staked, XCM staked. Looking forward to the upgrade. Thanks to the CM team for all your hard work. Well, thank you, Gavin. This isn't a question, but glad I read it. I'm sure the team will appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thoughts on THT? Pun definitely received. And newly released THT staking on CM. So THT, passionate group of people. Look, we always look for the same things. We look for passion, we look for dedication, we look for experience and applicable knowledge. And the THT team has it, still has it. Outside of that, we look to see, what are they trying to do? Are they getting any closer to accomplishing what they want to do? Are their goals too lofty for, are they going to be able to meet those goals? Are they realistic in how they want to approach the problem or create the service or etc.? And THT checked the boxes. So I'm still bullish on THT. I know that a lot of our investor community is bullish on THT as well. THT staking, I think, is one, even if people don't understand the metrics behind the asset, don't understand how the asset works, what they're doing, staking is now becoming, the dividend of the stock, like dividends in stocks, meaning somebody will look at a stock and go, well, I think it's fairly safe price point to buy in at. And, I'll take those dividends. I'll take that reward. I'll take those staking rewards. And that's going to help propel them and get more awareness. I think that, staking initially was created, to be honest, most staking was created to propel price, protocol-based staking, to reduce circulating supply and hopefully push price higher. And not that that's not why staking is still being done, but it's also being done for awareness, because people will become aware of the APY even if they don't understand what the underlying asset is doing. Both of those help in terms of price action. Any updates on when THT AML will be scheduled? I think next week. I think we're looking for next week on the THT AML when we can align schedules. Yep, KDA open again. We hope so, custom toggle. I'm hoping Q1 we're going to see KDA reopen. Do you think the Q4 roadmap will be completed before the end of the year? There's going to be a few stragglers on the roadmap, but we also added a few things that weren't on the roadmap. So I think it balances out pretty well. Anything, though, that's major on that Q4 roadmap that we don't entirely knock off the, or check off the, Jesus, it is Friday. I've also been traveling, so you're going to have to give me a bit of slack on the can't find any words thing, but knocked off the roadmap. That's what I'm trying to say. So I was trying to say something better than that, but it just didn't flow right. What do you think of multivac? Don't think anything about multivac, so I can't give you an opinion. Sorry. If you DM me something on Telegram with a link, I can have a look. Will we see more XCM pairs on the exchange in 22? It's slightly annoying that I need to convert USD into XCM and then sell for Euro, buy another token. Hey, Ryan. Yeah, by the way, Ryan Murcko, this is my brother, who's coming to see me on the 29th. So maybe the next AMA, we can do a brother's AMA. I'm not sure my brother can talk about crypto, but he can talk about something. We'll find out. So yeah, Ryan, that is something that we've been contemplating, getting more pairs. Obviously, you have to understand when you add pairs, initially they are going to be illiquid. There's no liquidity provider for XCM per se, which means when we add crosses, we add more volatility. And that volatility can be great for people who understand how to trade volatility, but it can be terrible for people who don't. Those people that end up doing a market order because they see a great price, only to find out that there's only 20 tokens available at that great price, and they get slipped 35% to the next available limit order because somebody was sly and was monitoring the book. And so that means that, limit orders only, which also limits the overall tradability of that pair. And it takes some time to build up that liquidity. For XCM, XCM Euro, it took us over a year to build up enough liquidity where we could have XCM USD, for example. So the plan is to add more pairs. We just have to do that in a kind of educated fashion so that we don't want to hurt our end clients. There is some FUD about staking in general in biz. I think the rich get richer 2.0 part, but what about the claim that rewards are scam and decrease price? I love the idea of passive income. Well, I think, I wouldn't be taking intellectual thoughts from biz, to be honest, from 4chan. The rich get richer. Yeah, well, if you create a system where the rich get poorer, it's not going to make the poor richer either. So that's never going to happen. The goal of a new system is to give everyone the same access. That doesn't mean that, the poor are going to become rich overnight. What it means is that the poor have access. Well, maybe not all the poor yet, but you still need a smart device or a phone. You still need internet connection. You still need we're not quite there yet. But it's not going to take someone that's not wealthy and make them wealthy overnight. But what it will do is level the playing field in terms of access to opportunities. If a billionaire can put $1 billion in and make 100 million a year, why can't I put 1,000 in and make 100 a year? Why not? Why is there that barrier? To protect me? To protect me from making money? To protect me from the possibilities that I'll see a return? Or to protect me against my stupid self who may lose all my money and complain? But I can go into any convenience store and buy a lottery ticket. I can walk into a casino and literally mortgage my home and lose it on the crap table. I can do a lot of things that are potentially risky to my financial environment. I can go in and overspend on my credit cards. No one does that in the US. No one gets a credit card and maxes it out, then gets another one and maxes it out, and then can't pay them off. Nobody does that. But you can do that, which is absolutely detrimental to your situation. But don't try and go make some passive income, because that's ridiculous. That's super dangerous. So I don't, the rich get richer, okay, but that's a dumb argument. Then you have the claim that rewards are a scam and decrease price. Also a dumb argument. So we can break down all the different types of staking. Protocol staking, inflationary, right? Where new tokens are created and then distributed across all staked accounts, right? All staked wallets, all staked addresses. It is inflationary, but many protocols, ETH 2.0, have figured out a way to essentially over time become deflationary. And if we're talking about, inflation in general, inflation happens, like we know, in every fiat currency. We can call fiat currency a scam if you like, saying that the value is depleted, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But when inflation hits on fiat currency, we don't see the direct benefits of that inflation. I don't see that inflation hitting my bank account. Inflation hits 12%. What? They raise interest rates, to 1.5? So I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that at my bank account. Somebody's seeing it. I'm not. So here, yes, there are inflationary protocols. It doesn't necessarily decrease price. Demand can still outweigh the inflation, especially when the people buying know that if they stake, they can get a piece of that inflation. So I don't buy that. There's also treasury-based staking where, it's simply, they come out of tokens that already exist in the circulating supply. So as well, not really going to decrease price. People may be selling those tokens. Now, if you have an overinflated APY, 3,000% or something, yeah, that's going to decrease price probably, because demand would have to be exponential all the time to outpace the inflation. But when you have a rate that's dynamic and is set by different metrics, whether that be protocol-based, treasury-based, whatever, and you also have that, then it's a different story. You also have staking that comes from revenues, right? So you stake an asset, the company makes revenues, they pay you from those revenues, and they're buying the token back to pay the staking rewards. That's not going to decrease price over time. Again, it all depends on demand, depends on how much utility is in that token. If people need to buy that token, if the token needs to be bought in order to provide the utility, you may actually have a deflationary setup without even realizing it, based on the underlying usage of the token. So just to sum up, there can be staking options that are only there to make one or two people rich, the top of the pyramid per se, and there may be staking options that do in fact decrease price over time because the demand based on utility or simply based on speculation cannot keep up with the massive amount of inflation. Could you do like a 5-minute THT show? I did like a 2-minute THT show earlier. Hopefully that's enough. Can you consider a collaboration with THT to set up a THT mining pool? Potentially. One of our shareholders is about to launch a major mining operation. So potentially. It might be something we look into in 22, probably late 2022, but definitely something we might look into. The AMA was delayed to another date after it didn't happen last week. I had a YouTube notification for another AMA at the start of the week. Okay, well, yeah, I was trying to potentially have an AMA over the weekend after the Friday one didn't happen. I didn't know it was scheduled, so I apologize for that. But didn't happen because, well, I was busy. And then I was traveling on Tuesday, so I just got caught up and didn't really have time. Plus, I had a lot of calls on Saturday and Sunday, which kept up most of my day. So apologize for that, old roast. Hopefully it won't happen again. Do my best to make sure you're notified. Everybody's notified. Merry Christmas, Kevin and team. Any info to quant and potential staking on CoinMetro? Well, for quant to be stakeable, we either need something like Vesper up and running so we can create liquidity pools and make quant stakeable, or IQ protocol for lending and borrowing of quant, or quant needs to have their own staking protocol, which we can then link up to. So our goal is to have staking options, passive income options for all assets we list. That's a 2022 goal by the end of the year. All right. Yep. Gotcha. Sorry about that. What do you think of multivac? Okay. Already answered that one. I have no idea what that is. It looks like a link I wouldn't click on. What is the price prediction of Flux and KDA? Is it possible for KDA to go to $200, same as Solana? I'll take the last one first. I think KDA is a triple-digit asset. I think there's no reason why it can't get there. Price prediction for Flux and KDA. Well, I don't want to give you a prediction. I think predictions are nonsense, to be honest, because I can give you a prediction. Eventually, it probably comes true, unless, you know, it's too astronomically ridiculous. And even then, if it's on the upside, if crypto continues as it's continued for the past 12, 13 years, it probably will get hit at some point, and I can come back 8 years from now and go, told you so. You know, after 1 billion people get wrecked because it goes to lows and sits there for 4 years or whatever. That's why I don't like giving predictions. What I will say is I own both of these, Flux and Kadena. I own them for a reason, passive income, and I do believe the price is going to go up over time. Flux, I think, has the potential to easily hit high double digits in the relatively short term. I think KDA has the potential to hit triple digits in the relatively short term. What can CM do about minimum? Is that minimum? Dude, I have no idea. Sorry, King of Core. You're going to have to come back on that one. Merry Christmas to you all. Thank you, Jack. Merry Christmas to you. Hopefully we talk in the new year. Why no VXV API integration? Well, VXV API, as far as I know, would only really benefit us through thematic baskets, but that requires a portfolio management license. If there's something else that I don't know about, please let me know. Any new listings coming on the exchange? New listings coming in January, yes. What's your thoughts about partnership between MasterCard and Consensus? Is this a sign of institutions starting to become into DeFi? How bullish is this news for Qredo? I think I've answered this one already, so I'm not going to answer it again, though I could go a bit more in depth based on that much more in-depth question, but we're going to move on because we only have a few more minutes. Hi, Kevin. Do you have a chance to look into Radix yet with a view of on listings? Seems like a CM project. I haven't. DM me something, please, Lane, so I can take a look. Radix is a super project. I would love to see a listing. Wise are stakeholder shareholders and a UK product. Please send me links. Please send me links on Telegram so I can take a look. MTV. I remember when they launched MTV back in 81. Or was it 82? I don't remember. Anyway, I don't know what MTV is, so you're going to have to show me that somewhere on Telegram. Hey, did you look at Saito, layer 1 with innovative consensus mechanism for potential listings? No, I haven't. So please DM me on Telegram. MTV, also layer 1. DM me about layer 1s. I love infrastructure. That doesn't mean all layer 1s are great, but I will definitely take a look. What's the driver for your decision to revamp the tokenomics? Can you elaborate more? We want to provide more back to our users. Simple as that. CoinMetro is a business. We need to make money. Everybody likes to make money. Great. But we're all about access. We want to change the game. We want to make sure that everyone has access to the type of passive income opportunities and just general wealth generating opportunities that the wealthy have had for the history of finance, since finance has existed. And so revising the tokenomics means that the token becomes more valuable, means that those that have supported us by buying that token, holding that token over the years also get more for simply supporting us. And we think that's very important. We love all you guys and gals. We think it's amazing that we have people that have supported us since the beginning and they're still here. We think it's amazing that more and more people are coming in and supporting us. We want to make sure that supporting us has its benefits. And that's why the tokenomics. Simple as that. Simple as that. Hi, Kevin. Merry Christmas. Do you know about Advanced Cash? What do you think about working with them? I don't. Any guys, anytime you have something you want me to take a look at, DM me, say, check this out for a listing, Kevin. Put a link in there and I'll take a look. Make sure you ping me a few times afterward, though. I get a lot of messages. So if I might miss it, I might have looked and forgot to tell you something about it. Don't be worried about pinging me. I'm not going to get upset. It may take me a few days sometimes to get back to you, depending on the amount of messages I have. Just know my door's always open, a virtual door and physically. Well, not forever. Some of you guys, I don't know. Do you plan on listing ICP Rose? Don't know what that is either, so please DM me. Hey, Tobias, how are you? A colleague of mine used to work for Binance, and they have a lot of legal cases against them. Yep, well, obviously they do. I'm sure they have way more than your colleague even knows about, for sure. Are fiat holdings in CM insured? Also, when fiat staking be added? Currently, there is no incentive to keeping your cash in the exchange. Hey, Bill. Fiat staking is something we've been discussing under our digital fiat brand, which is our EMI in Europe. That's going to launch Q2, Q3 next year. So look for that type of service. Then I won't be called fiat staking, but there will be rewards to hold fiat balances. Fiat No, well, as a business, we do fall into some insurance categories with the banks, but obviously there's a limit. We will, in Q2, Q3, into Q4 next year, have certain types of theft, indemnity, and other insurance specifically for our EMI licensed entity. So there will be a certain level of insurance. Yes, probably won't cover 100%, but there will be some coverage. Sorry if I have to repeat myself. Are there any project coins you would recommend to us to look into the next few weeks or months? Hey, Malik. Since we only have a few seconds left on the show, I'm going to answer a few more questions. This one, not yet, but stay tuned. Probably in a couple more AMAs when we get close to them, we're going to do some more listings right around the second week of January. We can discuss this a bit more. Have you heard of Time Chain DEX aggregator? Haven't. Hi, Kevin. Thanks for all your good information and transparency. Thank you, Tobias. Let me see if we can catch one more question here. I'll take this one. There are rumors with big exchanges shorting BCH. What do you think about these rumors and what's your general opinion? I'm not a BCH fan. Roger Ver did an amazing sales job at getting BCH integrated into lots of different countries and currencies and shopping carts and all that stuff. But I'm not a big fan. I don't see yet crypto as a payment vehicle, to be honest. And so even though BCH is more of a payment vehicle than Bitcoin, that's for sure, I still don't really see the reasoning why someone would buy, the masses would buy crypto as a payment method. I do see reasons for transfer of value, which you can do with almost any crypto, especially for countries with cap controls, et cetera. The BCH kind of ideology never really stuck with me. I think we'll get there. There will be crypto that makes a lot of sense to use for payments, probably going to be stable coins or CBDCs, to be honest. I haven't heard the rumor about exchanges shorting, so can't really help you there. Yep, it is very slow, that's for sure. Thanks, Malik. Appreciate the insight, by the way. I think I'm going to have to leave it here. I have, this is the last question, guys. Last question for the day. And then we're going to leave it here. Will there be benefits to XCM tiers, such as higher staking API and other coins or priority access to staking pools? Other plans for CoinMetro credit card? Credit card, probably not. I don't really believe in giving the masses credit cards unless they know how to use them. Debit card, yes. There is a debit card plan, has been planned for a long time. Just been trying to make sure that we can do it with the right partners and make sure we do it the right way. That's very important to us, rather than just doing it fast to try and make some money off of it. There will be more benefits to XCM tiers coming in mid to late January. I'm not going to mention what those are. I don't want to spill the beans yet. They are extraordinary. It's going to separate us from every other exchange token for sure, but I think many other tokens in the market that provide staking options. It's going to provide unlimited and ever-changing benefit to XCM holders. And I think that's going to be amazing. So thank you, everybody, for your questions. They were amazing as usual. I'm still Kevin Murcko after this hour and 2 minutes. Today is December 24th. So I always say every time we have an AMA, spend time with friends and family. And if you can't do it physically? If you can't do it physically, do it virtually. It is the holidays. Not everybody celebrates these holidays, but it is the holiday season. Most people get some time off of work, end up spending time with friends, relatives, whatever, family, distant family, whatever it may be. Make sure, you let everybody know how much you appreciate them. I've been working on making sure I let people know how much I appreciate them. Historically, I haven't been the best at doing that. I wish I could do it more. I'm trying to do it more. So I'm going to do it with you guys as well. So I really appreciate all of you. I appreciate all your support. I really do. That comes from the heart and nowhere else. Thank you all for everything you've done for CoinMetro. We're going to continue to do everything we can do for you so that your future is as bright as it can be when it comes to your finances. And hopefully maybe some other stuff. Education, a couple laughs here and there. This AMA wasn't that funny, I think, but every once in a while you got to tune in. Sometimes they're pretty funny. Today was just, one of those days. I've been traveling, so it wasn't myself. I apologize. Anyway, spend time with friends and family. By the way, when you're sitting down to that Christmas dinner tonight or tomorrow, and everybody's been drinking and eating and getting really loud, stand up, rip a leg off that turkey, throw it at that uncle you hate, make sure it smacks him right in the face. As he's falling and hits the ground and everybody just stops talking, say XCM is the savior, and just sit back down. You're going to get a lot of flack for this, probably for a few months. Your aunt is probably going to be upset. Your uncle may not talk to you. You didn't like that guy anyway. Your family may decide, hey, this guy, I don't know about this guy. But within time, they will all come back, and you will be the savior of the family. Anyway, just aside, everybody, have a great holiday break. I will see you guys here next Friday. That'll be New Year's Eve, so that'll be interesting. Maybe I'll bring a disco ball with me. Maybe my brother will be with me. Maybe Ryan Murcko will show up. That'll be interesting. Anyway, everybody, thanks. Have a great one. Talk to you guys soon. You can always DM me on Telegram at Kevin Murcko. You can always tweet me at Kevin Murcko as well. See you soon. Cheers.